Senator, nice to see you. Thanks for joining me. Look, I'm sure you're not surprised by this survey. You've been saying that the welcome to country has been overdone for years now. But realistically, what is it actually going to take to put an end to these? Who is going to be brave enough to say, yes, enough is enough?
Every Australian out there that's got a backbone about them and say, we're not going to deal with this anymore. Turn your back on it, as I do every time I'm in Parliament and they do a welcome to country. I turn my back on it. I went to my grandson's school, the anniversary there, and they did a welcome to country. I was the only one that turned my back on it with all these other parents around. I don't care. I'm not going to put up with this rubbish. And your stance on this, what you have said, Danica and James, you guys are so in line with the way that I think. Oh, hold on a minute. Can I call you guys? Are you offended by that?
I'm so offended. Anyway. So offended.
I wasn't offended. I'm fine with it, Pauline.
So it's just ridiculous where we're going. It has been divisive, and I'm with you, Danica. There's more than 56% of the public out there are so over this, but they are in fear of calling it a bigot or racist. I totally agree with you. But if we're going to join together as a nation, we're all seen as Australians, we must fight back. Have your say. Don't go along with it. That council worker, good on him for actually fighting back over it and questioning it. And yet he's lost his job, he's won it in the courts, and I hope that they actually apologise to him and offer his job back. But Australians, I'll tell you out there, you are the ones. You are deciding your future and the future of this nation. If you want to put up with this rubbish, this crap, well then you're to blame for it. But you have every opportunity now. Our kids are being taught it in school. You know, my grandson came home and he was about 9 at the time, 10, and he said, Grandma, he said, we've got to put our hands on the ground and do a welcome to country. I said, no, you don't. He said, but we have to. The teacher says, no, you don't. Stand up there and say, I'm not doing it. Well, he said, I don't want to do it. I said, then don't do it. And he doesn't do it. So it's been taught to it. They're being brainwashed in the educational system right in the early childhood, even before they go to actually grade 1. This has been brainwashed. This is put on to them by the activists, and we are going along with it. Come on, wake up, Australia.
So, Senator, I've got to ask you this. If 56% of Australians at least think this is ridiculous, it's divisive, tell me what you thought when Susan Ley got up at her first speech at the press club and began with a welcome to country. What did you think when you heard that? What went through your mind?
I was disgusted, absolutely disgusted with it. Because the Liberals, you know, they're getting acknowledgements. They were the ones that actually opposed the voice to Parliament. What a load of rubbish that is, because it wasn't just the Liberals that opposed it. It was a lot of people, myself, like Gary Johns, and then you had Barnaby Joyce, and you had Jacinta Price, and you had a number of people. Because once the public were informed about it, what it meant and changing in the Constitution, people were better informed and made their decisions about it. It wasn't the Libs that led the whole charge on it. They took up this fight that we had. I was the first one to expose the impact that it was going to have on our country by the documents that were given to me on the quiet by someone who found them in a cafe in Canberra from the NIAA group that were there. And therefore, I exposed that from the very beginning. And then it rolled out from there. So, you know, I'm disgusted with her. She's moderate. I don't believe she's the right person to lead the Liberal Party. I think you need a true Conservative, but she's been dragged along by the moderates because she's moderate. So anyway, it's going to be very interesting what happens in the next 3 years under Susan Ley. I'll tell you, I don't think she'll last the distance. I think she'll be overthrown before the next election.
Yeah, and the other issue is you can't win elections, in my opinion, if you're moderate. Moderates cannot win elections. So, you know, you either have a clear policy difference with Labor or you're just going to be floundering in the wilderness for many, many years to come. I totally agree with what you're saying there, Senator. Now, I want to ask you about NDIS funding because travel funding for the scheme will be cut by 50% from July 1. There has been some concern from regional communities in particular that this will impact services. But look, clearly the scheme, it's blowing out every year, year on year. You're backing these changes. Yep. They were very generous travel allowances to begin with, weren't they?
They were around about $195 an hour of travel allowances. And then on top of that, When you're in the city areas, you get paid, NDIS, those providers get paid about $195 an hour. Then if you're remote, it's over $300 an hour. Very remote, over $500 an hour. So they're being paid very, very well on the NDIS program. This is going to be cut back to about $97 an hour. That's for travel. How many Australians out there actually get travel allowance to go to their jobs? Not many. It is an absolute rip-off. And then they say, well, the people won't go into the clinics to get the services they require. Do you know that this isn't talked about very much at all? The government has provided, and I'm going back a couple of years ago that I found out about this, they get paid about $75 to $80 million a year in transport costs, which is paid to clients of the NDIS. Now, whether they use that transport or not, they get to keep the money. So this is another cost to the taxpayer. We are being bled dry by these ones through greed, and it's all about what they can get out of the whole system. That's why it is unsustainable. I will keep fighting this all the time. I will show the irregularities, the waste of monies, and the people ripping off through greed, and billions of dollars is actually being taken out of the system by these leeches.
Well, of course, speaking of the NDIS, you can't help but think of our defence budget because NDIS is almost as large as what we're spending on defence, and the US are insisting we're not spending even anywhere near enough on that. Anthony Albanese is resisting all attempts to raise our spending to anywhere near the 5% of GDP that Trump is demanding. I just wanted to quickly get your thoughts on where that argument is at. Are you confident with the Albanese government in terms of where they stand on defence spending, or do you think they're leaving us dangerously exposed?
They are leaving us dangerously exposed. We spend about $57 billion a year. The NDIS is $52 billion a year, growing at 8% a year. So therefore, it will overtake this defence spending within a year. So anyway, my whole attitude towards this is increase your defence spending. We have to be seen that we are prepared to defend our own nation. People put up their join the defence forces because they are putting their lives on the line. Why can't we give them the right material, whether it be, missiles or frigates or boats or submarines? We need to actually give them the items that they need to go out there and fight for us to defend this nation. Anthony Albanese, he's put on, we've got 1 million public servants out there. Imagine the billions of dollars that it costs the Australian taxpayers for that. Yet he's not prepared to ensure that we have national security. I agree with Trump. I totally agree with him. If we want an ally in America, then pull our own weight.
Good call. Senator Pauline Hanson, we always appreciate you coming on the program. Thanks for coming on tonight.